Just when you thought he would be a one-hit wonder, one-season wonder at West Ham, a report in the Telegraph on Sunday suggests that Callum Wilson has apparently agreed to a new one-year extension on his contract to be a part of the club next season. Now, I say apparently because at the time of recording this video late on Sunday evening, it hasn't been corroborated, it hasn't been confirmed yet whether the deal has actually happened. So we're kind of awaiting for official confirmation. But if it's true, it's kind of a surprise for a number of reasons. Look, it's a welcome surprise, but a surprise nonetheless. And why so? Well, it wasn't that long ago that Nuno was had told Callum Wilson, apparently, that he was free to leave in the January transfer window, only for David Sullivan to have stepped in to override Nuno and insisted that Wilson needed to stay until the season ended. Why? Because we were a bit light on our striker situation with only new arrivals Pablo and Tati Castellanos as options. So that was a surprise. So to go from becoming sort of a bit part player or a player that Nuno didn't want, Wilson has actually proved himself and he's become quite integral to this team. And to be given a one-year extension, I think, is good, but at the same time, a surprise. Now, I guess the other surprise is, given Wilson's age and his history with injuries, West Ham are kind of taking a bit of a gamble that the veteran striker will continue to go through another season injury-free. Wilson turned 34 in February, going to be 35 when this one-year deal extension ends. Now, as we know, as a player gets older, the chances of further injuries increases. Now, I don't want to tempt fate, but Wilson, I wonder how many people have realised Wilson has actually been injury-free so far this season. And I think that's got a lot to do with the way West Ham have managed the player throughout the games that he's played. Being injury-free means he's been available for longer than any of us would have imagined. And let's be honest, a lot of us, myself included, were kind of waiting for the moment that Wilson would pick up a knock and be out for half a dozen games or so. But that hasn't happened. So let's hope we manage his game time equally as good next season as we have done so far this season. And then, of course, I guess the biggest surprise is that we still don't actually know what league we're going to be playing in next season, given that we're still involved in this relegation dogfight. So for Wilson, if he has signed this new one-year extension, it's on the proviso, it must be on the proviso that he fully understands, fully accepts that he could be playing Championship football next season. But all that aside, I think it's a positive. I think that Wilson has signed, and there's some continuity there to the squad next season. There's one player that we know is going to be at the club. Wilson has made 26 appearances for us in all competitions, notching up 5 goals with 1 assist. And considering that 11 of those appearances have been from the starting lineup, I think that's a pretty good return for what we were expecting. Look, we know that Wilson can score goals. That's never been the contention here. The contention has always been, was he going to stay injury-free? Was he going to be fit enough to get through the season? And he's done just that. If you're new to this channel, or if you've watched the West Ham Voice before, but yet to become a subscriber, a QR code has appeared in the top corner there. Please do click on that after the show. You can become a subscriber, no charge at all. And if you enjoy the video, please click the like button and the hype button that you find below the video itself. Right, what about some other positive news? Because we do have some more positive news. And that, of course, is the return of Pablo to training with the rest of the squad. Now, look, let's not get too excited. It's unlikely he's going to be match fit or ready for the game against Brentford, but there could be a chance that he will be available for the Premier League game against Man City next weekend. Now that is, or this coming weekend, sorry. Now that is a massive boost. It's a massive boost in terms of numbers. He's missed, 5 games in all competitions. because of a calf strain. He's made 6 appearances since arriving at West Ham since January, and although he hasn't scored or assisted, his impact in the way we play has been hugely beneficial. He's kind of a disruptor, isn't he, up front alongside Castellanos, and he receives the ball and he can initiate attacking play. He gets in the face of the opponents, and we've come to respect him in a short period of time that he's been with us, and he's been missed in the time that he in the last 5 games. He certainly adds depth to the squad again. Excuse me. And if he returns next Saturday, or this coming Saturday, I think that's a massive boost. Another player that we already know is back after his 3-match suspension is Freddie Potts. Now, ironically, he was given the suspension in the last FA Cup game against Burton Albion, and is quite likely, I'm pretty certain that he will start against Brentford in the FA Cup again on Monday evening. I think he will get some game time, because that will also give him a bit of match fitness, so he can be ready to stake a claim in the starting lineup against Man City again this coming Saturday night. So a near full strength squad for Nuno can only bode well. It can only bode well for our Premier League fight against relegation, and for Nuno's team selections. It means that given the players that are back or coming back, it means Nuno can start looking at putting out relatively strong teams during our FA Cup campaign, as well as keeping one eye focused on Premier League games as well. So let's move on briefly to our FA Cup adventure. Now, look, should Brentford get beaten in the should we beat Brentford in the FA Cup on Monday night, we will join another 5 Premier League clubs who are already in the quarterfinals. Now, we already know some of the big names that are there: Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool. And they were joined by Man City, or another big name. They were joined by Leeds, but 2 surprises: Port Vale and Southampton. So well done, and respect to those 2 teams for having got through their rounds. It was a fantastic performance by Port Vale, who've reached this stage of the competition for the 2nd time in their history, and the first was way back in 1954. They scored a cracking goal after applying pressure on Sunderland from a corner, but Sunderland had their fair share of chances to get back into the game, but didn't take them. So well done to Port Vale. No team's really going to relish an away trip there. As for Southampton, they got a penalty in the 89th minute of the game, which saw them through against Fulham. Another night for Fulham to kind of forget. Just like against us, they had chances, but they didn't manage to convert them. So, well done to Southampton as well, who actually look quite dangerous on the break. Again, another team that most clubs won't relish drawing against, whether home or away. Look, if we beat Brentford on Monday night, let's prepare ourselves, because we know that away trip to Liverpool on a Monday night is looming, don't we? You just know it's on the cards. Who would I rather in the next round? Well, to be honest with you, let's get past Brentford first before worrying about the quarterfinals. And let's hope that under the lights, the fans will get behind the team as they have done in recent weeks. Now, Brentford are a formidable team. They currently sit 7th in the league, and they stand a great chance of making Europe this season. Coach Keith Andrews was recruited from within. He replaced Thomas Frank, and he's signed just recently a new deal till 2032. That shows a lot of faith in the manager and his strategy. Promoting Andrews from within means that Brentford have managed to keep their identity, have managed to keep a consistency in how they do things. The running of this football club is something that West Ham can learn a thing or two from. They use data-driven analysis to help with their player recruitment and to ensure that the club is self-sufficient without having to break the bank to bring in the next high-quality player. It's a bit of a Brighton process, who also use the same approach. And it's kind of hope that West Ham will soon catch up with these 2 teams with Max Hahn, who oversees our data analysis. When you think that Brentford not only lost Thomas Frank, but a number of key players over the last couple of years, such as Ivan Toney, David Raya, Brian Mbuemo, or Johan Wusser, to name but a few, they've managed to not only survive these departures, but to actually improve as well. Being seventh in the league is no mean feat. Every time we lose a key player, it's panic stations, isn't it? With no real strategy on keeping the balance on who replaces the player that left. Now, for example, a testament to how Brentford do things is Igor Thiago. He came to Brentford to replace Ivan Toney last season, but his first season was marred by injuries. But this season, he's made amends. 18 league goals so far has driven Brentford to the position they're in the table. And the list of replacements to other players goes on. They've got, for example, Dango Quattaro, Kevin Schade, who replaced the departed Wissa and Mbuemo. Between them, they've got a dozen goals as well. So going into this game, West Ham have got to be prepared to withstand the attacking pressure that Brentford can present. And they're actually also good at not conceding many goals. So not only do we have the pressure of defending well, we're going to have to really break them down in attack. So that's why I think that it's very likely that Nuno will go for a pretty strong team against Brentford on Monday night. I'm pretty certain that he's going to use the likes of I think he's going to use the likes of Somerville and Bowen in this game. I said this at the weekend. Areola will be in goal. I think he'll change the back line, giving Kilman, I know a lot of you won't agree with it, but he's likely to give Kilman a run out. I think Ollie Scars will replace Malik Diouf, and I think Carl Walker-Peters is quite likely a shoe-in to replace Wan-Bissaka. And then, as I said, I think Potts will play. And La Madrid is a player that could come in. He started against Burton. It's quite possible that he'll start against Brentford as well. I think Magassa will line up alongside Potts, and then Callum Wilson will lead the line up front. Now, that team can do damage. There's pace in there with the likes of Somerville. Magassa, I know he's blown hot and cold a couple of times, but on the whole, I think he's been pretty decent. Freddie Potts will be eager to demonstrate how, that he's an integral part of the team, having returned from suspension. And La Madrid has got another chance to impress. He did impress against Burton in the last round. That's it. Callum Wilson, having signed a new deal, seems a bit strange, but I'm quite glad that he has done. Pablo returning to training, but may not be available for the game against Brentford, but it bodes well for the game coming up against Man City. All good news. We've got a momentum going with the way we're playing. We've got players coming back. We might even have a successful FA Cup run as well, going all the way to Wembley. Am I dreaming? Well, why not? That's what fans do, isn't it? Thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you all again pretty soon.